beautiful afternoon and welcome. For those of you I haven't had a chance yet to meet, I am A.C. Roche. I have the best job in the world because I am president of Cranbrook Educational Community, and I am thrilled to welcome you here today. This is an event that by every measure and with every colleague or Cranbrook constituent I speak with is in fact one of their very, very favorites. Because today we celebrate the impact so many of you have had on colleagues and on this community. And we celebrate today examples of excellence. That is collaboration across program areas, dedication, and willingness to offer innovative ideas that elevate Cranbrook as a home for transformational teaching, learning, and creation, and service to Cranbrook as a community where we welcome and we honor one another with all of our diverse backgrounds, areas of expertise, affinities, identities, and wide-ranging life experiences. Before we begin the formal part of today, I do want to recognize the Cranbrook Quartet. Come on up. We have with us today Chloe Chin, Sarah Sim, John Lee, and Eve Feliz, who provided fabulous music, all Cranbrook students. Terrific, and thank you. It is a pleasure and a joy to have Cranbrook students add to today's festivities. As I make my introductory remarks, please continue to enjoy the food and refreshments. This is the 34th year we are gathering to celebrate the President's Award for Excellence, and I congratulate each of our honorees on being recognized as outstanding members of our community. It is a privilege and it is an honor to celebrate you, and I am grateful to be hosting this ceremony as Cranbrook's 9th president. For each of us who have held this position, this event is very special. My predecessor, President Emeritus Dom DeMarco, who served Cranbrook as its president from 2012 to 2021, often said that selecting the recipients of this award was one of the most difficult decisions he ever had to make, but also one of the very most gratifying. Dom would and does often say, "It is the people that make Cranbrook special and are at its heart." I couldn't agree more. And Cranbrook's President Emerita, Lillian Bauder, who served from 1984 to 1996. Without Dr. Bauder and her vision, this event simply would not be possible. In 1989, Lillian established the President's Award for Excellence. Later, she and her husband, Don, created the endowment that ensures that it continues as a way of recognizing and celebrating excellence within this community. Lillian reflects, "Those of you who were here during my tenure know that I often spoke of the importance at Cranbrook of people, program, and place. Also that for me, the greatest of these clearly is the people, the essence of Cranbrook's soul. And so our thought was to create an event to recognize that soul. Those very thoughts of Lillian's were so recently recalled in the note week before last from Eric Bicknell, husband of our late colleague Paul Keithley, who served this very Cranbrook Kingswood schoolhouse. Quote, Paul simply loved working at Cranbrook, not simply because of the lovely campus or the beautiful buildings, but because of the people, the faculty, staff, students, and the faculty kids who were a joy to him that he cherished in his heart. And so, the President's Award for Excellence honors excellence in its many, many forms, and from its very first year, has recognized exceptional individuals from every corner of this majestic campus and marvelous community. Educators, curators, artists, tradesmen and women, staff members, volunteers, and governance leaders. Each year, we videotape this event and share a copy with Lillian Bauder. And so for that, I keep the tradition and ask everyone to look right at that camera and please wave a hello to our great friend, Dr. Lillian Bauder. She is still very much a part of Cranbrook. Lillian, you are to me a trusted advisor, and we are grateful for all that you and Don have done for our community. In order to memorialize each year's honorees for their permanent and lasting contribution to Cranbrook, we inscribe each honoree's initials on the legs of custom benches placed throughout the community. Gary Griffin, artist in residence and head of metalsmithing from Cranbrook Academy of Art, designed and fabricated the legs of the original benches. As I mentioned, this year marks the 34th class of award honorees. All have been nominated by their peers, and every year the list of candidates for this recognition grows. Last April, we celebrated trustee Rick DeVore, educators James Carletto and Carla Young, and gardener Roger Rotarius. Thus far, 142 people have received this recognition since inception. And I believe we have 25 former recipients with us today. And I ask you to stand and be recognized. The bench honoring last year's recipients is on display in the lobby, and it will be placed on the southern corner of the intersection of Academy Way and Institute Way. The bench recognizing this year's honorees will be placed, drumroll, on the northern corner of that same intersection, both overlooking our beloved Jonah Fountain. As we talk about what makes Cranbrook unique, we have over 892 full and part-time employees, many of whom stay at this institution for 20, 30, 40, 45 or more years. This coming fall, we will recognize these milestone anniversaries and that extraordinary commitment at our employee appreciation event. It is particularly fitting that today also happens to be Administrative Professionals Day. please, I invite our administrative professionals to stand, and let's thank those individuals on our teams. They are too shy, if you ask me. Cranbrook is also fortunate to have over 350 volunteers that tend and steward the Cranbrook Gardens and maintain Cranbrook House. In addition, Cranbrook has nearly 160 trustees, governors, and committee members who volunteer their time at numerous meetings throughout the year, offering, thankfully, their advice and counsel as we determine strategic priorities and advance Cranbrook regionally, nationally, and internationally. I'd like to recognize among the many trustees and governors and volunteer leaders here today, two persons, Dr. Linda Gillum, Chair of the Board of Trustees of Cranbrook Educational Community, and Michael Berger, First Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees. Would you please both stand so we may thank you? Linda and Michael, with their colleagues, work in tandem to lead Cranbrook's fiduciary board, and they devote countless hours with me, advising me, helping me, counseling on Cranbrook's long-term strategic vision and strengthening this institution for an amazing future. Let's take a moment and thank all of Cranbrook's many, many dedicated volunteers. I do want to stress that regardless of one's tenure here, long or short, and whether you are a member of our landscape crew or an educator, an administrator, or member of our volunteer leadership, each and every one of us is called to contribute to the advancement of our educational programs, the beauty of our campus, and the development of our students, artists, and learners of all ages. It is the sum total of our efforts that make Cranbrook what it is. In fulfilling our individual and our shared responsibilities, we have a collective impact every day on the lives of all who come to this magical place in order to learn and to grow. And no one knows or does that better than each of today's honorees. And how they have grown. I have to say that one of the great pleasures of this honoring is that we all have lunch together in the conference room at Cranbrook House. And if I had a word to describe this year's lunch, it would be raucous. And I will admit that Brenda Gatlin and I pretty much just howled as Julie, Al, and Kevin swapped some amazing tales of their shared experiences on Academy Way. More important, each of these individuals in his or her own way represents the very best of our community. And it is time for us to meet them and get to know them even better than we thought we did. As is our custom, our honorees have each selected a friend, colleague, family member to introduce them. Let us start This award presentation with Greg Whitcop, Director of the Center for Collections and Research, who will introduce the irrepressible Kevin Adkisson.
Make sure I have all 20 pages here before I get started. They look like they're here. So, you do realize that I am introducing a rock star. While not exactly a musician, unless you include his stint in grade school when rumor has it, he was a highly acclaimed member of the handbell choir, Kevin Adkisson is a rock star in all aspects of his work at Cranbrook. A colleague I have often simply introduced as Cranbrook's curator extraordinaire. I knew this guy possessed something special from the moment we interviewed him for his first position at Cranbrook. It was the spring of 2016, and we were looking for a new resident collections fellow. Sure, he had all of the right credentials. He had a degree in architecture from an Ivy League college, Yale no less, where he even gave architecture tours of the campus and the surrounding city of New Haven. He had done his graduate studies at the University of Delaware's prestigious Winterthur program in the history of material culture, where he was recognized for his creativity in the field of architecture history. I still remember reading one of his writing samples he submitted titled Pizza Hut Entropy. A bit tongue-in-cheek, perhaps, but a passionate argument for taking seriously the buildings that we often dismiss. He had honed his skills as a researcher and writer, working for the architect and then dean of the Yale School of Architecture, Robert A.M. Stern, where he, quote, supported firm-wide research. That is, he actually served as Stern's personal ghostwriter on all of his client presentations. And if that was not enough, he also worked as a maker in the studio of Kent Bloomer, where he fabricated architectural ornament in metal and wood. I know you are beginning to think this is sounding a bit like the origin story of our metalworker founder himself, George Goff Booth. But this, so far, was all on paper. He had yet to prove himself to my colleagues at the center, a notoriously tough crowd. Rather than the usual tried and true technology of gathering around the four-legged conference phone sitting firmly in the middle of the table, my administrative assistant had convinced us that we should try a newfangled technology strangely named Zoom. She said that there was one and only one place on the campus where we could use it, the library at the Institute of Science. So we dutifully assembled at the Institute, where Kevin magically appeared like the Wizard of Oz on the screen in front of us. The moment of truth came at the end of the interview, when I asked the question that I ask of all curatorial candidates. Tell us about an object that inspires you. Intentionally open-ended, the question usually elicits the story of a painting somebody encountered at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, a building they toured in Spain, or maybe a favorite Charles Eames chair if they really wanted to tug at the Cranbrook heartstrings. I still remember Kevin pausing, thinking for a moment, and then telling us to wait for a few seconds. He returned with a teddy bear and proceeded to tell a story that wove together two histories, a cultural history of stuffed bears and the family history of this completely engaging young man from Marietta, Georgia. Needless to say, we hired him. He arrived at Cranbrook later that summer and quite literally hit the ground running. Within 3 months, more like 2, he had not only completely absorbed the history of Cranbrook's architecture, which remains his passion, but he was making it his own and sharing it with authority and depth with audiences from around the world. Let's keep in mind the scale of the Center for Collections and Research at that moment in time. We were just 4 years old with a full-time staff of 4 people, including Kevin and me. As the center grew over the intervening 7 years, Kevin has been an integral part of this growth, helping to define and shape and implement many of the center's signature programs. And significantly for this award, finding ways for them to have impact across the campus. During his first year, Kevin initiated a series of exhibitions in Sarnen House that not only pointed a spotlight at the histories and stories of its residents, but they also returned Sarnen House Studio to a place of creation and discovery. Most memorably was the exhibition he staged in 2019 that ultimately would be turned into a film, Studio Loya Sarnen, The Art and Architecture of Weaving. Meanwhile, he expanded the center's series of intervention exhibitions into a model that embraced artists from across the campus. Partnering with Academy metalsmith in residence Iris Eichenberg, he first brought Cranbrook House to life with the work of artists of the Academy's metalsmithing, ceramics, and fiber departments. After expanding the concept the following year to include all of the Academy's departments, Kevin then proposed staging the exhibition in all 3 of Cranbrook's house museums, Cranbrook House, Sarnen House, and Smith House. Not even the pandemic would stop him with the speculative histories and brought to the table exhibitions among the most memorable, and completely online. Speaking of which, it was during the pandemic that Kevin truly emerged as a rock star. For those of you that have been tracking the progress of the center, you know that we have a strong online presence. This is completely because of Kevin. It was within 3 weeks of the closing of our world in March of 2020 that Kevin started his now famous Live at 5 tours of Cranbrook. What started as a small group of devoted fans, including more than 1 family member, quickly grew into a worldwide audience for his informal campus talks and more formal tours of places like Smith House. His Smith House tour alone has been viewed more than 25,000 times on YouTube. Yes, Kevin would be the first to admit that he has pretty amazing content with which to work. You don't have to convince too many people of the significance of Loya and Eliel Saarinen and Frank Lloyd Wright. But it is Kevin's knowledge, his passion, and his engaging personality that brings it all to life. Kevin is a natural-born storyteller, which has not only benefited the center as we have grown our online presence, but has equally benefited our colleagues across the campus. It was soon after Kevin launched his Live at 5 tours at the schools, tapped him to create a series of virtual tours for their graduating seniors that first spring of the pandemic, then for the families of the incoming students the following fall, and now on seemingly an annual basis for their alumni and alumni that are not able to return to the campus for reunion weekend. I might go as far to argue that there is an intimacy to one of Kevin's virtual tours, a feeling that he is giving the tour for you and you alone. He has a real gift. Returning to Smith House, it is Kevin that has been transforming the personal residence of Sarah and Melvin Smith, a home filled with their art and personal artifacts, into a meaningful house museum. Apropos to a curator that embraced the iconic roof lines of Pizza Huts, Kevin is the person that decided our period of interpretation for the house would not be that the year that the Smiths moved in, 1950, or even the last year that they lived there together, 1984, but rather an entire decade, the groovy era of the 1970s, in all of its shag rug and naugahyde glory. Yes, he even argued fervently for retaining the Smiths House artificial plants, what he has taught us to refer to as the home's permanent botanicals. And then there is his wildly popular History of American Architecture lecture series. Having just completed the 5th installment with no signs of stopping, the most recent hybrid version attracted nearly 500 participants, including students from both Cranbrook's Academy of Art and schools. In the words of one of these participants, I am enjoying every second of every lecture. Kevin's depth of knowledge, passion for the subject matter, and humor simply resonate. But the cherry on the top of Kevin's meteoric rise from collections fellow to assistant curator, then associate curator, and now curator, has been his soon-to-be 3 films. They started as a simple challenge when we needed content for our 2021 House Party fundraiser. Beth Willoughby and I asked Kevin if he could expand on the Live at 5 concept and create a virtual tour of Carl Millis's sculptures and fountains at Cranbrook. Kevin took this idea and once again ran with it. Partnering with Elkhorn Entertainment, he took the lead on directing a full-fledged documentary film and then upped the ante the next year with the second film on Loya Saarinen. As for the third, if you are lucky enough to have nabbed a ticket to our sold-out house party next month, you will see a short film starring Kevin that includes footage from 2 Cranbrooks, one in Kent County, England, and one in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. He is indeed an international rock star. President Roche, it is my pleasure to present to you Kevin Dale Adkisson, recipient of the 2023 President's Award for Excellence.
Thank you, Greg. That was definitely 5 minutes. Yeah, when they told me I only had 5 minutes to speak, I said, surely you mean 55 minutes. So welcome to my 90-minute talk about me. No, I want to thank you, AC, and thank you, Greg, for this honor. I want to thank my dad, Dr. Dale, and my sister, Haley, who I think have pretty much perfect attendance on my virtual events and Live at 5 broadcast. There were some dark days in the pandemic where you go live on Facebook and I just see my sister and dad watching, but we still gave it our all. They picked up steam. I'm also so grateful to my non-Cranbrook friends who came out, Darren and Thomas and Dushan and everyone else, and especially to Beth Willoughby, the chair of the center, for all of your love and support these many years. From the very start of my career here as the center's fellow, Cranbrook has felt like home. I've now lived in Saarinen House longer than any other place than my childhood home, and that incidentally means I've lived in Saarinen House longer than 2 Academy presidents. The nature of my job here has been to have a close relationship with beautiful things and to try and understand the history of this place, its buildings, objects, and people the best that I can. So I'm inordinately grateful for the people who gave us these objects, George and Ellen Booth, whose generosity and vision we steward here today, and also to all of the artists and designers and educators and scientists who came before us, who brought the Booth's vision to reality, and especially to my heroes, Eliel and Loya Saarinen. I mean, what couldn't they do? Cranbrook stuff is really great. The collections in campus have so far provided a pretty unlimited realm of opportunities for me, and I'm grateful to Greg for letting me run a little wild, and for all of my colleagues for being so game for all of my absurd adventures. From helping to pull sculptures and vases out of storage, to repairing broken cannons and scrubbing dirt off skylights and sculptures, to finding and identifying original furniture and fabric in closets and other places too frightening to mention, my job here is never dull. And the vacuuming. I was trained in furniture dusting at Yale, but I never thought I would do so much historic textile vacuuming. But through the unrolling and straightening and backpack vacuuming of Cranbrook's collections, I've also been able to learn so much about the treasures that we have here at Cranbrook, and to turn this vacuuming into a passion for Cranbrook and for Loya Saarinen, her amazing textile career. And these are the things that have led to some of the projects that I'm most proud of, like my little documentary on Loya. And I want to thank briefly Gracie Bennett Carpenter, a Cranbrook Kingswood alum who made me this ascot inspired by the Festival of the May Queen for the occasion. The stuff of Cranbrook is really fun, and it's a privilege to care for these objects. I've always been a huge nerd, so it's a fun job. But I've also developed a love of the people at Cranbrook, too. While I've given tours to countless of visitors, and it's a lot of tours that I've done, it's the people I work with every day who really I've come to depend on and enjoy so much. I couldn't do what I do without the amazing and committed center team. From Greg and Leslie, Nina and Emma, Anna, Deborah, Laura, Meredith, and Kelly, to our amazing collections interpreters, Lynette and Diane, Matt and Elena. You all do so much for Cranbrook and for me. And I really could not have made, I couldn't have made this place my home if it wasn't for all of you, so thank you. But I said I wouldn't cry, but I was fully aware I would cry, so my mother is here. It takes a village, and so some of you in the room who don't work for the center have also truly helped me do the insane things that I do. From grounds and facilities to capital projects, events, Chartwells, house and gardens, and public safety. I'm really grateful for all the things that are sort of only at Cranbrook task, which have perhaps evolved into only Kevin would dare ask tasks. I'm grateful for your enthusiasm and your muscle and your can-do attitude, from asking to use doors and gates that haven't opened in decades, to have fountains turned on just so we can film water for 20 minutes before it floods the basement studios, to lugging enormously heavy tables up and down multiple flights of stairs, to helping to unlock suitcases that were already locked, or unlocked, to lending backhoes to haul sculptures into place. We do have our fun. Public safety, particularly the night crew, Simone and Jake, we have had a long relationship of preposterous hours when I didn't have internet in Saarinen House and worked late into the night at Cranbrook House. And thank you for always respecting my midnight text saying things like, "Watch out, a student made a sculpture out of dust," or "Please, there's a polar bear on the floor, don't walk on the rug." I'm also grateful to the curators and teams at the Institute for loaning me such things as polar bear rugs, and for all the team at the Art Museum for helping with the many exhibits and projects. I also want to thank the faculty of the schools, the team at Horizon Upward Bounds, and all of the artists and residents and Academy folk. You and your students make my work better and more exciting. You help the campus collections come to life. Without you, without the students and employees, all we have is a lot of beautiful stuff and very beautiful buildings. Thank you for inviting me into your classrooms and your studios to help bring attention to some of the magical stories of this place. And thank you for bringing groups into our historic houses to give these quiet corners of campus new life. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the team at Cranbrook House for always helping make the place run, especially Marilee and Gracie at the front desk. And I'm sorry my P card is always late. It will continue to be late. I often say that as curator at Cranbrook, it's a fulfilling job because as a campus historian, I'm not just interested in documenting and sharing a history that's ended, but I'm sharing a history that continues right up to this minute. I can tell you that right now, even as we speak, there are countless other things happening on campus, from the students in the dorms to sports practices, language clubs, studio work, gardening. Someone is probably burning something on a laser cutter right now. I mean, since I've started this talk, I can guarantee you that at least 4 luxury cars have bottomed out on the speed divots on Academy Way. And all across these 331 acres, every day, people are learning and doing and seeing. We are honoring just 4 staff members today, and I'm deeply touched to be one of them. But the campus keeps ticking, and the next President's Award winners are out there being excellent right now. Cranbrook is a living, breathing, intentional community, operating in an often confusing and complex world. For me, as a curator, this is a really rewarding and special place to be a part of. Let's keep up the good work, keep up the historic restoration, and keep our eyes open to the beautiful treasure that we've been entrusted with. We are lucky, I am very lucky, to be a part of this total work of art. Thank you.
Congratulations, Kevin. Next, we have, please welcome Derek Zimieski, Manager of Facilities and Fire Safety, who will now introduce the deft and charming Al Beeman.
Good afternoon. My name is Derek Zimieski. I'm the Facilities and Fire Safety Manager at Cranbrook Educational Community. Today I have the pleasure of introducing Mr. Al Beeman, Cranbrook's long-standing locksmith. Mr. Beeman started at Cranbrook over 43 years ago, when Steggy the dinosaur was just an egg. Throughout his tenure here at Cranbrook, Al has worked in a variety of roles, including grounds, trades helper, skilled trades, and locksmith for the past 7 years. During his career at Cranbrook, Al has had the unique pleasure of working with his wife, Robin, and daughter, Christina. Al loves to talk about his family, especially his children and grandchildren, and how he loves taking his RV to Myrtle Beach for a long summer vacation. I've enjoyed working with Al over the last 10 years, as his friendly demeanor and professionalism made any interaction pleasant. I have worked with Al in a variety of roles, from represented staff, as his peer, as a fire and safety supervisor, and now as his manager. Al's attitude has never changed. He's always treated everyone with respect. Whenever asked to stay late to resolve an issue, Al's never thought twice. Al has always showed time and time again he possesses the skills and challenge to tackle any task. Employees like Al are the foundation of what makes Cranbrook Educational Community a successful organization. In my experience, exemplary people excel at what they do and are excellent examples to others. This could not be any truer of Al Beeman. Colleagues and friends, it is my pleasure to present Al Beeman, recipient of the 2023 President's Award for Excellence.
Oh boy. Okay, thank you, Derek. It's hard to believe you were only 5 years old when I started working here. Talk about feeling old. Some of the new management team wasn't even born yet. And I lost my place. Thank you, AC. Thank you, whomever nominated me for this award. I started here at Cranbrook in 1980, and yes, I had hair, and it was dark brown. I started as a custodian, like Derek said, grounds worker, went to the academy in 87 as a trades helper, worked my way up, skilled trades, were there for 29 years. During that time, I worked with Sid, the old locksmith, when I could, learning the job, knowing someday he will retire. That day came in January 2016. 43 years later, I'm wondering where all those years went. I wanted to mention that my wife, Robin, also worked here for just about 30 years. My daughter, Christina, about 18. I can remember bringing her to work for Bring Your Kid to Work Day. Remember that? I'd like to say one more thing. I've seen a lot of management come and go in the years I've worked here. The new facilities management team, I believe, is going to be one of the best, starting with Calvin Vincent, Chris Furlong, Lauren Bonus, Derek, and I'm not going to try to pronounce the last name, Patrick Hemp, and of course, Amela, and I'm not about to pronounce your last name. We can't forget Kevin, Mike, Melinda, Dan, and Melanie. So again, thank you for this award. Thank you, Robin, Tanya, Christina, Alana, and Aubrey for coming tonight.
Congratulations, Al. Please now welcome Lisa Smoots, Director of Cranbrook Horizons Upward Bound, who will introduce the passionate and laser-focused Brenda Gatlin.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Reynolds Smoots, and I am the Director of Horizons Upward Bound. Thank you for joining me here today to celebrate Ms. Gatlin, who has served as the Hub Academic Dean since 2009. Ms. Gatlin retired from Southeastern High School as the principal in 2009. And she was crafting a vibrant life around community service and her personal passions when she received a call from Dr. Eddie Green to come to Hub to help with college counseling. She promised to serve for a year, and 14 years later, she's still here with us. Before coming to Hub, Ms. Gatlin had an illustrious career with DPSCD, accomplishing many firsts for which she has been recognized throughout the community. There's rarely a place that you can go that Ms. Gatlin isn't known and respected. Although these achievements are great, they're not the reason that she's being recognized here at Cranbrook with the President's Award of Excellence. The reason that Ms. Gatlin is being recognized here today is that she embodies the spirit of this award as someone who goes beyond the call of duty to make an impact at Cranbrook, which Ms. Gatlin does on a daily basis. Most of you don't know this, but Ms. Gatlin is a part-time employee, yet she reports to the office 6, not 5, but 6 days a week. And she hosts Wednesday evening study hall each and every week. She rarely takes a break or a day off because she finds working with the students at Horizons Upward Bound to be her source of pleasure and fulfillment. She loves the students so much that she doesn't need a break. The same commitment that Ms. Gatlin gives to Hub, she expects from the students. She created the pledge, which the students recite whenever they gather, not as a show, but as a tool for centering and remembering who they are and why they are there. Ms. Gatlin believes so strongly in the students memorizing and embodying these words that she won't even give them their hub bracelet until the pledge can be recited from memory. And I have yet to meet a student who does not know the pledge. Ms. Gatlin also sets a very high bar for the students enrolled in Hub, a bar called the Hub Way. The Hub Way is a way of living with integrity, dedication, self-confidence, and respect for others. The Hub Way means standing when you speak, making eye contact, being accountable for your actions, accepting praise when you accept, and accepting responsibility when you don't. The Hub Way means you won't settle for good enough. Rather, you will commit to excellence through hard work and perseverance. The Hub Way means no one else can write your story or set your limits. You command your own excellence. The Hub Way means following the example that Ms. Gatlin sets by her own actions. Whenever I gather with alumni, the first question is, how's Ms. Gatlin? Is she still there? After I say she's doing well, and yes, she's still there, the stories begin, usually with, remember the time? Ms. Gatlin is known for not accepting any bull. She doesn't accept excuses. She doesn't accept mediocrity. She just doesn't accept you playing around. If Ms. Gatlin gave you the side eye, or even worse, called you into her office, you know not only that you had fallen short, you disappointed the very person who believed in you the most. And that's what makes Ms. Gatlin so special and so beloved. She believes in the students, sometimes more than they do. She redirects them to the right path, and she never brings up the past. Her love, trust, belief in success for students never wavers, because she knows that every student has the capacity to succeed. And if they don't believe in themselves, she will believe in them and support them enough for two. I also want to share with you an experience that I had with Ms. Gatlin, which exemplifies her commitment to and love for the program. One day, Ms. Gatlin went to the dentist, and she called the office to say, I'm on my way back. But she never made it back. She wasn't feeling well, and she decided to go home. We were a little worried because Ms. Gatlin didn't call us to tell us that she changed her plans, but we found out the next day. You see, it turns out that Ms. Gatlin was fighting a knee infection, which was making her not feel well. The next day, she visited her doctor to find out what was wrong, and she was informed that she needed to have surgery. Okay, I'm prepared for Ms. Gatlin to take a few weeks off. That's what you do when you need surgery. I'm just waiting for the paperwork. But the next day was Saturday, and Ms. Gatlin asked if she could attend assembly virtually. Sure, I guess so, although I wish you'd rest. No, she said, I need to see the kids. So that Saturday morning, Ms. Gatlin changed her background, logged into assembly, led the kids through the pledge, the daily expectations, and the announcements. No one knew that she was in the hospital. I said, okay, now she'll rest. I'm still waiting for this paperwork. But on Monday, she calls me to talk about business, saying that, can we meet until the surgeons come to roll her in? What? No, Miss Gatlin, please go, get well. Well, she insisted, so literally we had a Zoom call until the nurse walked in and said, okay, Brenda, it's time. Okay, so now she has to heal. Okay, finally, Miss Gatlin's going to sit down, take care of herself, and I'm still waiting for the paperwork. But later that night, the night after surgery, she starts sending me email, updates of all that she's done and what she needs to do. No, I scream out loud, please rest. But Miss Gatlin can't do that. She continued to support Hub and the students through her entire recovery. She never missed a day. She never missed an assembly. She never missed a study hall. And the kids never knew she was recuperating until one day, with a fake background, she raised her arm and they saw the IV. She was busted. So if anyone goes above and beyond, it's Miss Gatlin. She lives everything that she teaches our students. And her example not only inspires and empowers the students, it inspires and empowers me. You see, Miss Gatlin has years of experience, and she shares her wisdom and perspective with me. We approach things differently, yet she always listens to my perspective. And she'll try things my way, and if they work, she cheers me on. And if they don't work, which occasionally they don't, she never says, "I told you so." We just pivot. Miss Gatlin is open to new ideas. She continues to learn and grow, and she seeks ways to support me in moving the program forward. Miss Gatlin is a true servant leader, an inspiration to all, and an example of excellence in the Cranbrook community. Colleagues and friends, it is my pleasure to present Ms. Brenda Gatlin, recipient of the 2023 President's Award for Excellence.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Oh my gosh. It's still overwhelming. But I'm going to not be too loquacious because I did write my notes down. But to Dr. Linda Gilliam and members of the Board of Trustees, President Amy Claire Roach, known as AC, Past President Dom DeMarco, President Emeritus, if he's here, the Rising's Upward Bound Advisory Board, Dr. Jeff Suzik, Noel Doughty, and of course our own director, Lisa Reynolds Smoots, Cranbrook Hub faculty and staff, ladies and gentlemen, it is with an immense sense of personal and professional gratitude to be one of the recipients of this most prestigious award. This award is a testament to the hard work and dedication of our entire team, who are committed to providing students with limited resources the opportunity to succeed academically and achieve their personal goals. My name is Brenda Gatlin, and I have a testimony. I would also like to take a moment to pay tribute to the late Ben Snyder for his sagacity and vision. Mr. Snyder, for those of you who don't know, a social studies teacher at Cranbrook, over 58 years ago had a vision to create a program for students who were not provided the myriad opportunities that were prevalent at Cranbrook. For those who don't know, and I'm going to provide you with a little history this evening, the program was initially called Horizons for 50 male students from Detroit and the metropolitan area of Detroit, and was funded by a Ford grant. When the grant money ran out, Mr. Snyder applied and was awarded the newly Upward Bound grant, just approved by President Lyndon Johnson. And we're one of the oldest programs, Upward Bound programs. And because of the federal dollars received, the program became co-ed. Hence, the program is called Horizons Upward Bound. How many of you knew that? Mr. Snyder worked assiduously and perspicaciously to ensure that this program would come to fruition. It is because of his vision that we are here and that I'm here today. We honor his legacy by continuing to elevate this program to new horizons. As Lisa has already told you, many years ago, I worked in the Detroit public school system for over 43 years, starting at 5 years old. Retiring as a principal of a high school with over 2,500 students in 2 buildings. In 2008, actually, I was introduced to the HUB program by one of my senior students, who, unbeknownst to me at the time, had been in the program for 4 years. He invited me to attend his completion program. At that time, at that program, I had the honor of meeting the late Ben Snyder. And guess what? I said, oh my God, when I retire, I thought to myself, this might be a great place to work subsequent to my retirement. Little did I know that this opportunity would come to fruition when I retired in 2009, and Dr. Green, the director of HUB, as Lisa mentioned, asked me to fill in as a college counselor during the summer component, and I worked very closely with Carla Young. In fact, she held down the fort for 2 weeks until I got there. After 43 years with TPS, I said, Doc, you've got to be kidding. Anyway, as Lisa indicated, one summer turned into 14 years. It has been an incredible journey under the leadership of Dr. Green, Dr. Taylor, and now Miss Director Smoots, working with such an outstanding and dedicated faculty and staff, and of course the students, molding, inspiring, and motivating them to reach the goal of the program, to graduate from high school on time and attend and graduate from a college or university of their choice. To see this goal come to fruition for so many of our students, such as Maurice Hill and Maribel Blass, who were in the program during my tenure and were staff members here working at Cranbrook. And this has been uplifting and continues to motivate me to work even more sedulously to assist students in accomplishing their goals. Please know, however, one of the highlights of my tenure at Cranbrook and the Horizons Upward Bound program was being chosen to serve on the committee to select a new director after the retirement of Dr. Taylor. Working closely with AC, who was the director of schools at the time, was an amazing, incredible, and comprehensive experience. Although it took us almost a year, because of her fastidiousness and conscientiousness, she strategically developed a seamless process that was consistent, authentic, and fair. We must have interviewed, it felt like, at least 100 applicants, but we knew when Lisa Reynolds Smoots interviewed, she would be the perfect choice to take the helm and move the program to new horizons. Lisa, making herself as the first female director of HUB, we've only had 5, has been an incredible addition to our team. And under her leadership, we have been able to expand the program and provide even more opportunities for our students. Cranbrook faculty, staff, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an amazing journey. Working on this beautiful and most serene campus of Cranbrook, an environment that embraces diversity in all its forms, whether they be in terms of race, religion, ethnicity, or gender identity. It is because I believe Cranbrook's commitment to inclusivity and their support that our program has been able to thrive, soar, and positively impact the students enrolled in our program. In closing, I would like to again express my deepest gratitude for being selected to receive this esteemed award. And I'm again honored to work with such a talented and dedicated team of educators in the Horizons Upward Bound program and at Cranbrook. We will continue to strive to make a positive impact on the world through the students we serve. Before I sit down, though, I want to recognize my brother and my sister-in-law, my sister from New Jersey, my big brother, he's 6 years older than I am. I don't mind saying that now, Nat, F. Nathaniel Gatlin and Gloria Beeman. And the people at my table, and AC, I'm gonna stay within my 5 minutes, Andrea Polly, Mr. Bird, I recruited from Southeastern, and of course Peggy Pennock, Sandy Hertz, Randy Kaplan, I mean, and all of the other people out there, Kristen and Caitlin, and I hate to start calling names, but then I have Shirley Burke, my soror, and my oldest and dearest friend, who's here, Stan Shirley, who helped me through my surgery. And anyone out there, and of course Lisa and Carla and Deb, anybody else who's been out there who has ever worked in the Horizons Upward Bound program, please stand and be recognized, please. Mr. Miller, where are you? And Tweed, and yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for this wonderful, wonderful opportunity.
Congratulations, Brenda. And now, I welcome Julie Fracker, Academy and Museum Director of Communications, who will present to us and introduce the utterly compassionate and truly sparkling Julie Montgomery.
Thank you, AC. It is a joy to be part of the festivities tonight. Every year this event is special, I think, just by looking at the people that are being honored here today. I'm so glad that we continue this tradition. I think we get very busy in our divisions, and the fact that we can pause for just even one day and really recognize the contributions of each other and then the exceptional people in this community is really, really special. So I'm so glad you continue this, AC. Thank you. It really is a tremendous event for all of us. Now, for those of us at the Academy of Art, it is made even more special today because this includes our very own Julie Montgomery. I know the Academy of Art is probably the most mysterious part of the Cranbrook educational community. Our students are only here for 2 years. They create things out of various animal parts. They lay real sod on the floors of our bathrooms. They even take an entire car apart down to the last gasket and mount it in the Cranbrook Art Museum as an exhibition. But they also go on to become some of the most accomplished artists, architects, and designers in the world. So we know that our somewhat unconventional model works. But it only works if we keep our students happy and creatively satisfied. When our students' needs are met, they're free to use their time to focus on their work, and that is where the real magic happens. And the Wizard of Oz behind the scenes making that all happen is our own Julie Montgomery. Julie has been with the Academy for 10 years, but she is certainly not new to Cranbrook when she arrived. She's also a POG and a Cranbrook parent of 3 and devoted years to Cranbrook as a volunteer, serving as co-president of the Upper Schools Mother Council, holding board positions at Cranbrook schools, and volunteering hours of her time in the classroom and in the library. Her devotion to Cranbrook runs as deep as Kingswood Lake. This also serves us well as she consistently helps us bridge the gap between the Academy and the other parts of campus. She helps to keep us all united. Julie currently serves as the budget manager for the Academy, and in the past also served as the budget and facilities assistant. Her duties include keeping us in line and on budget, and helping to keep the studio spaces and dorms safe, dry, and warm, challenging at times during a variety of power outages. As you know, we are a community of artists and creative thinkers over at the Academy. And while those skills are necessary in today's world, they don't get the P cards processed. So we really appreciate all that she does. Her mind for numbers is quite frankly a wonder. Cranbrook budgets are notoriously thorny, and she sifts through them all for us, often delivering bouquets of roses, usually. In his fairly new role as director, Paul Sacarides has often spoke of the great work Julie is doing by organizing all of our budgets and reporting. As a fellow Hamilton fan, I think she'll appreciate that every time he speaks of it, I often think that she wrote financial systems into existence. She was nominated for this award by many of us at the Academy, and while the functions of her job may focus on her analytical brain, what rises to the top in all of the nominations is her heart. She juggles an enormous amount of responsibilities, but does so with a smile and a positive attitude that can turn your day around. AC is correct in saying she is sparkling. If we had to give her our own title, it might be Chief Problem Solver, Miracle Worker, or even Julie Montgyver. She can literally fix anything with what she has in front of her. This has been proven time and time again. And we are also very lucky that in many cases, she comes as a package deal. And we also get the volunteer hands and technical acumen of Mike Montgomery at our events too. And the other members of her family who are here with us today, we know that you'll be signed up for something too. And while the work she does is important to us every day, perhaps it was most essential when the Academy chose to stay open during the pandemic. Many institutions of higher education closed during 2000 and 2001, but the Academy chose to stay open, in part because of our small size, but also the fact that art school and workshops really can't happen well online. This was an enormous task. There was a skeleton crew on campus during that time, keeping the ship afloat, and one of the captains was Julie. She put her own health at risk to devise clever solutions to help our students continue to do their very, very important work. She met every challenge with the grace and cheer that she continues to devote to every task she undertakes. She could not be more of an essential worker. And did you know she also once worked for NASA? So I mean that. I'll conclude by saying that while all of her roles at the Academy are important, she is about to embark on her most important position to date, grandmother. Her first grandchild arrives this summer, and while her daughter Hannah can't be with us today, we are all looking forward to meeting the new baby later this year. And we'll give the kid 3 years until Julie signs him up for a shifted studio. We love you, Julie. We have our special shirts if we all want to stand real quick to demonstrate our love. We start with me. CAA loves Julie. Because we can't do anything small. So, friends and colleagues, it is my pleasure to present Julie Montgomery with the 2023 President's Award for Excellence.
Wow, this is some view. I feel like I should be conducting. Instruments up. Thank you, AC, Dr. Bowder, my own personal spokes, Julie, my family, my peeps, and especially the extraordinary group of people, fellow award winners this year. If you'll indulge me just a second. Hi, Mom. Hi, Hannah and David. I'm that rarest of creatures at Cranbrook, a silo hopper. Coincidentally, as I stand here today, we are essentially at the fulcrum of my time as a school's parent and my time on Team Academy. While a K-12 school and a graduate school of art, design, and architecture may not have many similarities on the surface, there is an identical je ne sais quoi that makes them both great here at Cranbrook. It's the people, the people, the people. I feel so very privileged to be part of Mr. Booth's neighborhood. But who are some of the people in our neighborhood? We joined the community back in 2004 with an admittedly reluctant 7th grader, since that was not one of the usual entry times. But the Apia and the Sanders families welcomed us and folded us in from literally our first days. Over the years, so many special people nurtured and loved our children. Seal Yeager, Deb Files, Betsy and Rich Lamb, Jen Heath, Jojo Macy, and Kai Robinson, just to name a few. Mike and I volunteered alongside many, many great swim parents and robotics parents and theater parents and Mothers Council moms and Dads Club dads. I'll always hold my time in the Kingswood Library in a cozy corner of my heart, working alongside Gail Thomas and Linda Stone. In 2013, the children left and I stayed. My Academy colleagues later told me that they didn't know quite what to expect from a school's parent. For my part, I was so excited on my first day to get a map and finally learn what was in all those buildings on Academy Way, which had been a source of mystery the previous 9 years. Everyone has heard me say it a million times, but it remains true year after year. It is never the same day twice at the Academy of Art. I've been so fortunate that my roles at the Academy have given me the opportunity to work with many groups across the campus, in addition to the wildly talented students and my colleagues at the Academy. There have been some genuinely terrifying times these past 10 years, but what a marvelous gift to be able to experience even a scary world through a constantly evolving set of creative eyes, especially to one who sees the world largely through spreadsheets. There's no truly adequate analogy for the Academy, but I'm reminded of that amazing linden tree, I believe it is, near the Kingswood Library and Drawing Studio. It's not just one tree, but a whole academy of trees that leafs out every spring into an amorphous, sprawling work of art that provides shade and shelter and beauty, a unique perspective for anyone who takes the time to experience it. I have been naming names, but there is way too much emotion wrapped up with every single Academy name for me to be able to say them out loud. How can you adequately describe the people with whom you've been through the proverbial wars, who are now part of your very marrow? To my pandemic posse, we've literally been in the trenches, and you know that our lifetime bonds are forged in blood, sweat, and a whole lot of tears. To my new colleagues, what a joy it's been to get to know you. It's hard to believe we haven't always worked together. My journey here began with my own family, and my mother in particular, who valued education and pushed hard to make sure that her 3 daughters had many opportunities. While adolescent children are not always thrilled to see their mother around their school, my amazing trio has been very supportive of my subsequent foray into the world of art. And then there's Mike Montgomery, partner extraordinaire in all of my Cranbrook adventures. Sarah Turner once said that the Academy got a twofer when I joined. Everything from taking students to Costco, to supporting our mobility challenge guests at commencement, to helping schlep mattresses across Academy Way during the early days of the pandemic. You've been part of Team Academy from my very first day, and I'm so appreciative. In conclusion, well, this is not the actual Academy Awards. I would like to borrow. I would like to borrow an element from some thank you speeches at that event. I would like to dedicate this award to some other Cranbrook folks near and dear to my heart who were so deserving of this special recognition as people who devoted themselves body and soul to this place while they were here. John Malowitz, Sarah Turner, Leslie Tabakis, Betsy Lamb, and Shireen. Thank you very much for your time.
Congratulations, Julie. And I ask all 4 of our honorees to stand as we recognize them all. As well, let us thank those who introduced them so eloquently: Greg, Derek, Lisa, and Julie. Thank you. We also want to share a very special thanks today to Cranbrook's event coordinator, Rhonda Reed. Known, I believe, to everyone throughout the community, is a 2014 President's Award winner and has announced that she will retire this year. Rhonda, gracious, insightful in equal measure, you truly are an inspiration, and we congratulate you on an amazing career. Thank you. I also want to thank those others who are responsible for making this day what it is: Erica Stefani, Joan Penrod, Marianne Trajewski, and Eric Franchi. Thank you. We also recognize and thank our facilities, capital projects, and housekeeping staffs, and of course, our colleagues at Chartwells for this amazing event. We began today, rightfully, speaking about our past and honoring it, and with abiding gratitude, the legacy of this amazing gathering. I do want, though, to end today with a few words about Cranbrook's present and future. We often say that at Cranbrook, we challenge minds and transform lives. In my mind, that is our mission. Recognizing that challenge, intellectual, creative, physical, professional, brings with it the opportunity of transformation, change, growth. We are changed. Our perspectives are broadened. Our own convictions are often deepened through tough work, through dilemmas encountered, through conversation with those who offer a different perspective or have a different affinity or expertise than our own, through challenges met in the studio or classroom, in the office or on the grounds. It is a mission, yes, but it is also a promise. Engage with Cranbrook, and you will find challenge, and you will be transformed. Because that's what we do. We challenge minds, and we transform lives. This is true in every program area, at any time of day, and frankly, reflected in the achievements and experiences of those honored today. Brenda and Julie, you each enjoyed full, complete personal and professional careers before your Cranbrook positions. Looking for adventure, you came to them, and new venues to perfect your unique craft of care. How those colleagues, artists, and students under your wing have benefited. Al, in your 4+ decades at Cranbrook, you have held 5 different positions, each time growing, evolving, and welcoming challenge. How each inch of this community bears the mark of your skills. And Kevin, when that pandemic hit, you said, how can our programs, at that point, primarily offered in person, meet and exceed beyond these unprecedented, unfathomable challenges? Near and far, Cranbrook constituents are very much alive at 5 because of you. Kevin, Al, Brenda, Julie, with your colleagues, I marvel at how, by embracing, seeking challenge, you each have grown and you each have changed, yes, yourselves, but more so, Cranbrook itself, for the better. Cranbrook, we challenge minds and we transform lives. Challenge and transformation inextricably, beautifully linked. It's Cranbrook's mission. It's also our promise. And it's what we mean when we define what excellence is. Guests and friends, thank you for your commitment to that mission, that promise, and that definition of excellence. Please linger today. It is a beautiful day. Linger in this amazing space. Linger with each other. Celebrate the honorees. And thank you for joining us for this magnificent day.